Hello guys, welcome back to another session. And today we want to look at something a bit different. We've looked at things such as MLM, we've looked at APA, and we've looked at issues such as plagiarism. But today we want to look at how to make an effective paper, how to write an A plus essay. One of the things that determine how what you are going to score as a writer or how you are going to attract your clients is based on the quality of the paper you produce, and the quality can only be determined by the grade students scored, or you as the student. If you are writing your own paper, research paper, or an essay for your academic purposes, the grade that you score out of that paper. So it's very important. It's not just about writing, because what you write will be marked. So how do you make a paper an effective paper, a paper that scores A plus, not just a B or a C? Because there's high chances that you can write a paper which only scores a C or a D, and nobody would like to hire you if you can write just a paper that will score a mega grade, something like D or B or C. So it's important that when you're writing your paper, you prepare yourself effectively and make sure that what you are writing, it's going to be catchy and it's going to convince the marker, and it's going to give an actual state of a good paper. An academic paper is a paper that has got clear and concise answers, and such answers are well backed with the resources. So, how do we get the answers? Because not everything we write we know them. We write about things that we never learned in school, or about areas that we are not trained on. Maybe as a writer, you were trained in sociology, but you now come in to write a business paper. Actually, that will not be a technical paper, because you'll not require technical skills to write a paper such as in accounting or finance, or maybe doing a paper in IT. But there are general stuff that you can write on and write effectively, despite that field not your own orientation. So in this case, I want to take you through the process of getting quality answers. And how do we get quality answers? We must always have those quality answers. So getting a quality answer starts with identifying your topic. If you are given a topic that is quite broad, you are supposed to narrow it down to something that you can search on from the website, something that you can read, and then come up with concise and precise answers. Short answers that you can expand by writing something about it. And this something that you write about might come from a second resource, and you also put it in a way that it is not plagiarized. Because if you just take a paper, when you just take a point from a different source and then you just put it as it is, you lose the cohesion and you lose even the flow. So there is need to ensure that there is flow and there is consistency in terms of what you're talking about. So if you narrow down the topic, we say that the process of writing a paper, you need to have introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So before you go into that, what you'll write into the introduction and the body and conclusion is based on your research. So as you're going to make your research easier, you need to narrow down the topic. For example, if you have a question that is in terms of maybe descriptive, because you may find that a question that you're supposed to tackle has a lot of wording, and in between you need to come up with so many things, or just even one peculiar or a clear stuff to write about. So you need to come to a very narrow topic and then search that narrow topic. So how to write or how to get answers, if we say that how to get quality answers, first you start with narrow topics. You need to narrow down your topic to a specific area that you can search on. After narrowing down the topic, you come up with a searchable topic. That is what we call a narrowed topic. A searchable or a researchable topic that when you type it in your Google or in your academic sources, you can get the answers. And when you want to do that, you are supposed to search from academic databases. And these academic databases are very credentialed databases that has been approved. You must avoid using the blogs and also avoid using things such as Wikipedia. So you can use what we call ProQuest. You can also use what we call EBSCOs, and you can also use what we call Ovid. These are credible databases that you can use to get information. And of course, one that you majorly used in referencing is also called Google Scholar. Google Scholar. And apart from Google Scholar, you can also use Google Books. Google Books, and that is when you just placed or you just type what you want to search, or maybe the topic as you want to search. Maybe you can say that the benefits of using technology in business. If you put that, you'll see at the top of the page there are things such as images in the Google. There are things, if you leave alone all, there are things such as Google Books and what have you. Apart from Google Books, you can also use other things such as interviews, and especially in APA 7th edition, interviews are accepted. And when you have that oral interviews, you can also reference them. And at times, you can also use the video sources, which are from YouTube or even other websites, provided what you're talking about is not from a blog or a Wikipedia, you are accepted to use that. So I want us to look at an example of how we can get credible answers and then make them our own in a way that they are not plagiarized. So we can now say that maybe a lot of description has been in place, but then the end line is that demonstrate. Our question now is demonstrate the effects of COVID-19 on education. So if this is our topic that we are supposed to demonstrate the effect of COVID-19 on education, let's say that this is the topic. So you can't just search using demonstrate. So here you can narrow your topic by just having it from the effects of COVID-19 on education. Then copy paste that effect of COVID-19 on education and then go to your Google. When you go to Google, then you paste this here, effects of COVID-19, and you see what is coming. What is coming here as effects of COVID-19? The first thing under all, we have scholarly articles for effects of COVID-19 on education. It's very important that when it is indicated as scholarly articles, those are the articles that have been published, and they are highly ranked and they are highly credible in terms of academic. So the first thing you're supposed to do is to right click this and open them in another folder. And when you open it in another tab, we have it here under now Google Scholar. The Google Scholar give us now everything that pertains COVID-19 and education. The first one is the psychological effects of COVID-19 pandemic on society and its reflection on education. And the good thing here, it is in PDF. So we can open it as a PDF. And when we open it as a PDF, this is what is coming out. It's here, the psychological effects of COVID-19. And it was published on August 2020. We can see the author here is Muhammad Akat. So that is one of the credible sources that we can use. Another thing apart from that, we have also the effects of it's called the COVID-19 effects on US higher education, and then effects of COVID-19 in e-learning, and effects of COVID-19, the need assess the real value of anatomy education. So you can see or everything that pertains to COVID-19 education are listed here. So you can also narrow down your search by selecting the most appropriate one. Like in this case, we've taken this on education. You can either take the other another one. But we want to assume that what we are writing here is just a one page. For a one-page paper, it's right to write a one-page paper using only one resource or one reference article. But we can go as further as writing it using the two sources. So we can decide that we want to check another source. So in this case, because we want to use another source and we've used that, we can go back to the general Google search and see what is there also which is credible. We have also impact of COVID-19 on children education in Africa. We can open this and see what is coming out. So after opening it, we have a look at it. We see that what is the author here and the type of the paper. The author here we have it is HRW and it's a news. So if you look at it, Human Rights Watch is the HRW. So you can see how is it. This is not a blog. The Human Rights Watch is not a blog, it's a credible source. So we can use that source as well. But again, if we go down, the impact of COVID-19 on education by World Bank. World Bank is a very credible source of information, and they do a lot when it comes to health, it comes to education, and when it comes to economy. So this is a source that we can rank it so highly. So what we can do, we can, apart from the source that we've highlighted the other side, we can use also this of World Bank because it will provide a good information. So when we open this of World Bank, this is what we have here. So we can use this, the impact of COVID-19 on education, recommendation, and opportunities. So we want to use this to get answers and how we are going to build those answers. So here, the first, school closures, school closures due to COVID-19 have brought significant disruption to education across Europe. So here, what do we come up? The first sentence gives us one effect of COVID-19. So we will have one point. The first point that we are going to discuss is we can say that school disruption is the first point. So you are going to discuss that. You can talk of school disruption, or you can show that you can also talk of progression. You can also talk of school closure. So that is the first point. So after having that first point, we can come and see that what can we talk about here. So as these people are developing, we can say that there's another good point under that, that it tries to learning losses and increase inequality. So you can highlight that point and you'll use it somewhere now in reference. So when you say, you can say that one of the effects of COVID-19, the COVID-19 has contributed to the school closed down. As a result of uh, things such as, we can say that the lockdown or COVID-19 restrictions led to lockdown, which bars students from attending physical classes. As the government tries maybe put policies and measures to reduce spread of COVID-19, people were taken into quarantine and others who were not affected were in lockdown. There was no movement. There were curfews here and there. So this one led to stoppage of education at that moment. So what was happening in that, there were some families, the stable families, that could access education online because they were in systems where online education was going on. So as other people were accessing education online, others from maybe most likely the third world countries or families that could not afford such technology to continue with education were left out. By that time, there is now a creation of inequality between the students. Others are learning, others are not learning. And also, you can say that the effect of COVID-19 is that it increases the cost of education because there were need to back develop measures of how to carry on with education is what we call developing recovery programs, such as in this case, and those were cost. They were including further cost here. Another thing you can see here has indicated that countries in Europe and Central Asia closed their schools. That is also development. So you can say that as a reference, according to World Bank, about 185 million students were affected. About 185 million students were affected by not attending classes due to school closed down. So that affect the students. So the abruptness of the situation, teachers, administration were unprepared for this transition. So when you say that, you will be like, you ending up plagiarizing your paper. But just having about 185 million students being affected and linking it to World Bank will make you have the paper as a supporting evidence. So after having that, you can go to your paper here. That one you've referenced with World Bank. Then you can go with another source that you wanted to use. This source you wanted to use, first read the abstract and see if there is effect of COVID-19 on education. And probably this can also shape your introduction. So after reading this, if you get the point under this, you are supposed to highlight that point because you're going to use it somewhere. So you can just peruse the paper very fast to see if there's effect on education. Okay, you check, you go down, perusing. In perusing, you just check on what you need to do. So, like for example, here COVID-19 pandemic disrupted students' educational process. So, if this is what you want to use, or you want to support the other point, where there is a stoppage in according to World Bank, you can also say similarly, according to Akat Mohammed, 2020, COVID-19 pandemic contributed to disruption of education progress. You say that billions and millions of students, you say that he enumerated that about 60% of the world's student populations were affected, and that you shall have reference to that. So apart from that, after highlighting this, if because you'll use it later, you highlight and you put it in yellow, that area you are going to use. Again, you can peruse, go down and see how it affected. If there is any other point, apart from that, you can also say that there was a psychological effect highlighted in that area. Mhm. So the effect is very wide, but what I wanted you just to note is that if you are to use a resource, what you're supposed to do is to highlight you like uh-huh, where is it? So if the point is the effect, yeah, now you can say like this is the point you want to use, but you not use entirely. You say that this is the point you want to use, you highlight in that, so that this will make your main point. It will only make your main point, but you come back and then discuss what is supposed to be the actual point. When you come to this case also, you'll see that here he said that given the abruptness of the situation, teachers and that teachers were forced to build emergency remote learning system. So you can say that it has led to increased cost of education. That is due to the development of emergency remote system. Another thing, he said that one of the limitation of emergency remote is the lack of personal interaction. So you read through this and then see what other point that you can add into it. But the body, we only need one paragraph. So if you discuss 2 or 3 points, it's very important. So always when you search for the information, it's good that you highlight what you want to use and then you paraphrase it. You write it in your own words. You are not supposed to write exactly what is there. You see, if it is stoppage of education progress, you say it led to school closed down, and then the school closed down. You discuss the school closed down. What led to that school closed down? It was the COVID led to lockdown. Lockdown restricted people from getting to school, and the school was deemed as a way of keeping social distancing, so children could not interact and lead to the spread of COVID-19. So what other thing that is happening during that time? That there were other students who could access their educational materials through online, while others could not. So it lead to what? Inequality, increased inequality in that area. Another thing, the cost, such as the using of protectives and all that, also led to increase in what? In cost of education. So you are supposed to highlight every other point that you're going to use, because when you highlight it, it helps you note it down, and you know that paragraph 1 you're going to discuss this point, the school closed down. Paragraph 2 is the cost. Paragraph 3 is the challenges of developing online platforms for learning. Paragraph 3 you can talk about the psychological effects, and then paragraph 4 you can now make a conclusion by linking the three paragraphs and make it a comprehensive paper. So that will help you maintain the flow. It will ensure that there is coherency, and it will ensure that your paper is free from plagiarism. So if you follow such kind of arrangement, you will always be able to write a good and quality paper, and your paper will always score high. If you are writing as if you are writing as a third party where you help other people to write their papers, you'll attract many clients and you'll earn higher because you write quality papers, original, quality, and free plagiarized papers that score high. Excellent writing styles. That marks what we partake in writing, and we'll continue discussing other issues that need to polish your paper. Otherwise, thank you so much. Enjoy watching and enjoy practicing. Like our channel or like our YouTube, subscribe and share to other people so that we all win together. We all write good papers, we all make money, and we all advance our learning skills. Thank you so much.